Hello everyone, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we have something a little new. This is Pro Wrestling What If channel, and I found this on my recommended, and I was really curious to see what would happen if every runner-up had won the Royal Rumble. What if One Man Gang won the first Royal Rumble? What if John Cena came back and he lost the Royal Rumble? What happens if Santino Marella wins the Royal Rumble? I am curious. The original video, as well as Wrestling What Ifs channel, will be linked in the description. Go support them in any way you possibly can. Like, comment, subscribe to them, all that good stuff. And if you have anything you want me to react to, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. I already have a single comment. That being said, let's go.
What's up, guys? I'm DK, and you're watching Pro Wrestling What If, the series where I look at the different what if scenarios as terms of the world that we call professional wrestling. The Royal Rumble match has been one of the most unique concepts of not only WWE, but the entirety of professional wrestling. And sometimes we end up being satisfied with who ends up winning the Royal Rumble, but there are years where we are very disappointed on who ends up winning the Royal Rumble, even to the point where maybe the last person eliminated, also known as the runner-up, should have actually ended up
Vince McMahon booking himself to win the Royal Rumble was so fucking stupid.
Winning the match. So today we're going to be going through the entire timeline of the Royal Rumble events from 1988 all the way until the most recent Royal Rumble event as of the recording this video, and determine what if every runner-up had won the Royal Rumble match. And let me tell you, some of these runner-ups are actually pretty awesome, but at the same time, some of these runner-ups we're going to get to are just absolutely stupid. And if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share this to all your friends, subscribe, and press the notification bell for when future episodes get released, and leave a comment down below about today's topic or suggesting a future topic for an episode of Pro Wrestling What If. So starting off with 1988, the winner was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but the runner-up of the match was One Man Gang. Now the earlier
in the actual televised or recorded Royal Rumble, One Man Gang actually won the first Royal Rumble. But if he won it again, people would have been
Rumble matches are always difficult to talk about because there wasn't really anything at stake besides bragging rights on saying that you surpassed, in this case, 19 other competitors, since the very first Royal Rumble match was only 20 competitors, while the rest have been 30 besides one that we'll get into later on. So I don't think it would really do too much regardless of who won. 1989.
Is it gonna count the greatest Royal Rumble?
The winner of the match was Big John Studd, but the runner-up was Ted DiBiase. Now, this might be a little bit of a hot take, maybe it's not, but I think Big John Studd was one of the worst Royal Rumble winners of all time. This did not do anything for him, whether there was something on the line or not. But with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, I do see a world where this would catapult him to the world title scene, even if it's only for a short period of time. 1990, the winner was Hulk Hogan, but the runner-up was Mr. Perfect. Yay. Now, I think regardless of who won this match, we were inevitably getting Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan in the winner-takes-all match at WrestleMania 6. And so even though nothing is still at stake at this point, with Mr. Perfect winning, I think that this would result in him being the one that feuds with Ultimate Warrior going into SummerSlam 1990 for the world title instead of ravishing Rick Rude, resulting in someone else winning the Intercontinental Championship when the title gets vacated by Ultimate Warrior when he wins the world title at WrestleMania 6. 1991, the winner of the match was Hulk Hogan, but the runner-up was Earthquake. Now, because earlier on the night, Sergeant Slaughter had defeated Ultimate Warrior and won the World Wrestling Federation Championship, it seemed like we already knew what was going to happen at this point. So if Earthquake had won the Royal Rumble, he would likely have had a match with Hulk Hogan on, let's say, a Saturday night's main event, or an episode of Superstars that would determine who would face Sergeant Slaughter for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, a match that would have been won by Hulk Hogan because we were going to get USA versus Iraq in the main event of WrestleMania 7. Royal Rumble 1992, to what many people consider as the greatest Royal Rumble match of all time, and a match where there was stakes because the World Wrestling Federation Championship was on the line after being vacated. And the winner of the match was Ric Flair, but the runner-up was Sid Justice. And because the title was on the line during this match, I think that even with Sid Justice winning, this would have change quite a bit of things. Because in the end, we had Hulk Hogan pulling the arm of Sid Justice, allowing Ric Flair to dump Sid Justice over the top rope to win the match. And because that spot is kind of done with Ric Flair and Hogan, if that were to be the case, I think this would mean we would actually have had Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair as a marquee match at WrestleMania 8, which by process of elimination would mean that Sid Justice defends the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Macho Man Randy Savage. And with Ric Flair working Hulk Hogan, there's a big chance that there would be no spots involved in the match that would have him blade, which is what caused Ric Flair to not be allowed to wrestle at SummerSlam 1992 as a form of punishment. And Sid Justice would not have left the company shortly after WrestleMania 8 because he would have continued feuding with Randy Savage and not start a feud with the Ultimate Warrior. Speaking of Ultimate Warrior, who's to say that if the ending of WrestleMania 8 hadn't happened, that he would have been back with the company, having been gone since SummerSlam 1991. So there could have been quite a bit of different things that have happened within the company had Sid Justice won initially at Royal Rumble 92. Royal Rumble 1993. Now this is where the first Royal Rumble had happened, where the winner would get a championship match at WrestleMania, which the winner of the match was Yokozuna, but the runner-up was Macho Man Randy.
The finish of that match was stupid, by the way. Had Randy pin Yokozuna and Yoko like push him over the top rope while he was still down. What a way to make one of your top guys look like a piece of shit.
Savage. Now, if you were to comprise a list of the top 5 runner-ups that actually deserve to win the Royal Rumble, most people would put Randy Savage in 1993 on this list. Because most people were clamoring for the idea of having a babyface versus babyface championship match where we would have Randy Savage against Bret Hart for the World Wrestling Federation Championship.
That match would have been so good. Oh, it would have been such a good feud, too.
A match that would see Bret Hart retain the championship as a passing of the torch from one big star of the golden era to the top star of the new generation era. Because let's face it, Hulk Hogan wasn't going to pass the torch to Bret Hart. And speaking of Hulk Hogan, he likely would have had a one-on-one.
Hulk Hogan fucking hated Bret. Like, as soon as Bret won the WWF championship, he didn't talk to him. According to Bret Hart, he was now enemies, and apparently he was Hulk was so upset that he took it to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon said, "You got to drop the title," and that was it.
One-on-one match with Yokozuna, and knowing Hulk Hogan, just like the real timeline, Hogan would have beaten Yokozuna and killed off quite a bit of that monstrous heel momentum that Yokozuna had going into WrestleMania 9. Royal Rumble 1994. Now this one's always interesting because we had 2 winners in the form of Bret Hart and Lex Luger. So this technically would mean that in this case, the third last person eliminated would technically be the runner-up, which for this video would be Shawn Michaels. With Shawn Michaels winning the Royal Rumble in 94 would have changed quite a bit of things, because technically this would mean we would have a heel versus heel match between Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna at WrestleMania 10, which wouldn't have really made too much sense. So I do see a world where Lex Luger would have actually won the title from Yokozuna before the event, so that way we set up Lex Luger versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10. And this would also mean that we would not get the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental Championship, since
that match was so good, bro.
Shawn Michaels won the Royal Rumble. However, an upside to this is that we would still get the amazing Bret versus Owen Hart match that kicks off WrestleMania 10. 1995, the winner of the match was Shawn Michaels, but the runner-up was British Bulldog. This would likely mean we would have British Bulldog versus Diesel for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, a match that would be won by Diesel because he had the rocket strap attached to him.
Stop it. Give me 1 second. I apologize. I apologize.
Around this time. And I could see a world where British Bulldog turns heel after losing the match, leading to another match between the two at the first In Your House pay-per-view event. 1996. The winner of the match was Shawn Michaels, but the runner-up was Diesel. Now I think honestly the same things that had happened after this event would happen in this timeline, but with a little bit of a twist. Because in the real timeline, Diesel did end up facing Bret Hart for the title at In Your House 6, but in this case Diesel Diesel would invoke his WrestleMania title opportunity early, with Bret Hart retaining.
Give me a second. Forgive me, my cats are little bastards.
And going into WrestleMania 12 as the champion. And Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart would still face off in the semi-main event, where the winner gets a championship opportunity at WrestleMania, with Shawn Michaels winning, still getting us Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12 for the title. 1997, the winner of the match was Stone Cold Steve Austin, but the runner-up was Bret Hart. And I still think the same events would have ended up happening in this timeline as it would have in the real timeline, considering that Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't end up challenging for the world title at WrestleMania 13, and at least with Bret Hart it would have made more sense so that they could set up a rematch of Hart versus Michaels, but with Shawn Michaels dropping the title to Hart, since Michaels did win back the title from Psycho Sid at Royal Rumble 97. But then Shawn Michaels did end up losing his smile and vacating the title, leading to everything going into WrestleMania. And I just cannot imagine a scenario where we don't end up getting Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin that robs us of that famous double turn and would
Ken Shamrock
be an early look at what we would see in the Attitude Era. 1998, the winner was Stone Cold Steve Austin, but the runner-up was The Rock. I think we would go into a similar situation as we seen the year after in 1999. There would have been a one-on-one match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock at No Way Out of Texas in 1998, where if Stone Cold Steve Austin had defeated The Rock, which he ends up doing, he would end up getting the title match at WrestleMania 14 against Shawn Michaels. It was inevitable that
I forgot about Mike Tyson being there. He counted the final pinfall, and I thought that was cool as hell.
One way or another, Stone Cold was going to end up walking out as the World Wrestling Federation champion at WrestleMania.
He ran down from the fucking bleachers, hopped the barricade, and went, and he fucking Stone Cold was the winner. I thought that was cool as hell. I don't know why, but it was I think he might be my favorite guest in WWE history.
1999, the winner was Mr. McMahon, but the runner-up was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Many people regard Mr. McMahon as the worst Royal Rumble winner of all time, and it was just an absolute pointless.
It was so fucking stupid. He didn't need it. He booked himself to win the WWE Championship, which was so fucking dumb.
Decision. I see where they were going with this, but you could have done this if you had Stone Cold winning the match. I still think the same thing would have happened where Mr. McMahon and Stone Cold would end up in that steel cage match at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, still leading to the same thing with the Big Show's debut and having Stone Cold win the match, setting up the first Rock versus Austin match at WrestleMania 15. 2000, the winner of the match was The Rock, but the runner-up was the Big Show.
He's always the runner-up. I don't know if
once again,
how many times has you been the runner-up? 10 times now?
And I think the same thing still happens because that whole match between The Rock and Big Show at No Way Out the following month was based off of the fact that we actually seen The Rock's feet hit the ground while trying to eliminate the Big Show in the match. So once again, that could have played to an effect if they just...
And the fact that they turned that into a storyline too was so smart, and it worked out so well.
Decided, oh, this was a botched decision, but we actually decided to go with Big Show as the winner, and The Rock would defeat the Big Show at No Way Out, and we still somehow get to that fatal four-way match at WrestleMania 2000. 2001, the winner of the match was Stone Cold Steve Austin, but the runner-up was Kane. Now, probably the most requested topic for an episode of Pro Wrestling What If is the idea of what if Kane won the Royal Rumble match in 2001. So this likely will be the only way that I actually make a scenario like this for a video, which I hate to break it to you, but Kane was never going to get a world title opportunity at WrestleMania. Austin versus Rock was always going to be the plan for WrestleMania 17, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they were planning it around the time that WrestleMania 2000 was happening, when Austin was recovering from his neck injury. Kurt Angle would still be dropping the World Wrestling Federation Championship to The Rock at No Way Out, and Kane would be losing his WrestleMania title opportunity in a one-on-one match with Stone Cold that same night. Nothing was was going to change Rock versus Austin 2 at WrestleMania 17. 2002, the winner of the match was Triple H, but the runner-up was Kurt Angle. I still think, once again, we kind of get the same timeline because Kurt Angle and Triple H, in my opinion, would still face each other at No Way Out 2002. But instead of the winner getting the title opportunity at WrestleMania, it would be if Triple H wins the match, which he would in this timeline, he gets added to the match, making it a triple threat match at WrestleMania 18 between Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Chris Jericho for the Undisputed Championship. 2003,
One more second, please. I apologize.
The winner of the match was Brock Lesnar, but the runner-up was Undertaker. Now, because the brand split was implemented at this time, I don't think we would have what ended up happening the following year in 2004, which would mean the Undertaker would challenge Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 19. And with Kurt Angle feuding with the Undertaker instead of Brock Lesnar, this would mean that Kurt Angle doesn't end up breaking his neck at No Way Out like he did in the real timeline. Undertaker would win the match because he's going to extend the streak to 11-0 at WrestleMania, but he would drop the title back to Kurt Angle at Backlash, since Kurt Angle had mentioned on his podcast that he was originally supposed to have a year-long title reign had he not broken his neck at No Way Out. 2004, the winner of the match was Chris Benoit, but the runner-up was The Big Show. I guess first things first is that the joke of Vacant winning the Royal Rumble match wouldn't exist, but the reason it made sense for Chris Benoit to win was because in storyline, SmackDown General Manager Paul Heyman wouldn't allow Chris Benoit to challenge for the WWE Championship while Brock Lesnar was still holding the championship. Hence why he chose to face the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania, because that was literally the only option he could choose. So for WrestleMania 20, we would have likely seen The Big Show versus Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship, since we were still setting up Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. And because technically Kurt Angle wouldn't end up getting that championship match against Eddie Guerrero like in the real timeline,
that was also such a good match with such a fucking cool ending.
I feel they would have actually set up a match between Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle, so that way both competitors had a match at WrestleMania. And this would also mean that the Shawn Michaels versus Triple H match for the World Heavyweight Championship would be one-on-one and still the main event, but I see a world where Shawn Michaels would have actually won the championship and having a proper reign with it, unlike his first reign, and probably being the guy who drops it to Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2004. 2005, the winner of the match was Batista, but the runner-up was John Cena. It seemed like regardless of who won this match, both Batista and John Cena would challenge for their respective brands championships at WrestleMania 21, as John Cena had challenged JBL for the WWE Championship and Batista had challenged Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. But the thing that I did enjoy about Batista winning the Royal Rumble match was to add depth into the storyline of Triple H manipulating Batista into challenging JBL at WrestleMania, knowing damn well that if Batista chooses Triple H, it would be the end of Triple H's reign of terror, which is what exactly happened when Batista chose Triple H in the real timeline. 2006, the winner of the match was Rey Mysterio.
Right winner, by the way. Shouldn't change that.
But the runner-up was Randy Orton. I think that the same events would happen, but switched up a bit. Where because Randy Orton is the Royal Rumble winner and Rey Mysterio is facing him at No Way Out, it would be that if Rey Mysterio wins, he gets added to his match, which would inevitably be the same triple threat match of Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 22 for the World Heavyweight Championship. 2007, the winner of the match was The Undertaker, but the runner-up was Shawn Michaels. Once again, like I mentioned with 2005, it seemed like regardless.
2007 Royal Rumble was possibly the best Royal Rumble to me. That was like the best Royal Rumble.
Regardless of who won, both Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had fought for their respective brands' world titles at WrestleMania 23. 2008, the winner of the match was John Cena, but the runner-up was Triple H. Like I mentioned with our John Cena video, I had mentioned that I think originally Triple H was supposed to win the Royal Rumble match. But in this case, because technically John Cena returned during the match but didn't win, we would have still had Triple H versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 24, and as terms to a match with John Cena, because he technically wouldn't have been a part of a title match, I think he would have replaced Umaga in facing Batista in the...
Don't replace Umaga, okay? That's my boy. You can't replace him.
Brand supremacy match, considering we had the match at SummerSlam 2008 and they had tried doing it at WrestleMania 25, but that didn't work out well because of Batista's injuries, thus having the match at WrestleMania 26. 2009, the winner of the match, Randy Orton, but the runner-up was Triple H. Now, this would have been a little bit weird considering that Randy Orton's Royal Rumble win went well with the whole Randy Orton versus McMahon storyline that allowed Randy Orton to choose Triple H, who was over on SmackDown, as his match for WrestleMania. And Triple H had won the Elimination Chamber match and became the new WWE Champion to have this match happen. So unfortunately, the reality may be a Triple H versus Big Show match for the WWE Championship, but on the plus side, we would have actually had the John Cena versus Edge one-on-one match for the World Heavyweight Championship, as we've been dreaming since as early as WrestleMania 22. And the reason that we did end up getting the actual triple threat match involving the Big Show is because John Cena is too damn nice of a guy. Because it was actually John Cena's idea to have Big Show included in the match so that he wasn't left out of the WrestleMania card. 2010, the winner of the match was Edge, but the runner-up was John Cena. Now, John Cena winning in 2010, I think would have changed a couple of things, but I think I know the direction they would have went. Because I think inevitably we were going to get John Cena versus Batista in some sort of way after trying it the last couple of years. So in this case, Batista would likely have qualified for the Elimination Chamber match for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he would have been the one to pick up the scraps after Shawn Michaels hit Undertaker with the Sweet Chin Music to become the new champion, thus allowing John Cena to choose the World Heavyweight Championship as his match, thus setting up John Cena versus Batista at WrestleMania 26. We have opened up YouTube channel memberships. Now, at the moment as this gets released, we only have one tier, which is only $1.99, which you get stuff like behind the scenes footage and photos. You get a
Get the bag, man. All right. I'm gonna
including eventually doing a tier with bonus content that you can't. Now, this is what I mentioned earlier about a Royal Rumble that was different from having 30 participants, because it didn't have 20, it didn't have 30, but it had 40 participants in total, in which the winner of the match was Alberto Del Rio, but the runner-up was Santino Marella.
I can't fucking believe they had Santino booked so well. They protected him as the runner-up to the Royal Rumble.
They likely would have had him invoke his title opportunity inside the Elimination Chamber and end up losing the match. That way they could probably still set up Alberto Del Rio versus Edge at WrestleMania. And especially if I said that Kane wasn't going to end up going to WrestleMania 17 and challenging for the championship, then there's no way that Santino Marella is going to WrestleMania to challenge for a world championship himself. 2012, the winner of the match was Sheamus, but the runner-up was Chris Jericho. Now, I think everyone and their cousins' pet hamsters were predicting that Chris Jericho was going to win the Royal Rumble in 2012. Even though, yes, at the end of the day, Chris Jericho did end up going to challenge CM Punk for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 28, but I think winning the Royal Rumble match in this case would have added so much aura to what he was doing by basically not talking on the mic besides saying that it's going to be the end of the world as we know it. And so for the weeks after that, he could be implying it could be the end of the world for Daniel Bryan, or it could be the end of the world for CM Punk. 2013, the winner of the match was John Cena, but the runner-up was Ryback. I think
he should not have won. That would have been horrible.
We all know that if Ryback had won the Royal Rumble, he would be going after the World Heavyweight Championship, because John Cena, one way or another, was going to face The Rock at WrestleMania 29 for the WWE Championship to set up Rock versus Cena 2. And if John Cena didn't win the Royal Rumble, he would have obviously won an Elimination Chamber qualifying match to have that match with The Rock. 2014, the winner of the match was Batista, but the runner-up was Roman Reigns. One of the reasons for Batista coming back to WWE would be to main event WrestleMania and win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But Roman Reigns winning here would have taken Batista out of the equation to go after the title, and maybe we would have seen the same triple threat match but with Roman Reigns instead of Batista, or having a fatal four-way match so that we do include Batista in this World Heavyweight title match, which already going into WrestleMania 30 was just an absolute cluster as it was. 2015, the winner of the match was Roman Reigns.
Oh, that fucking Rumble sucked. Oh, that was This right here may be the worst Royal Rumble. Like, actually.
But the runner-up was Rusev. Now, because Rusev was the United States champion at this point, I see a world where, of course, Roman Reigns and Rusev would have a one-on-one match where that WrestleMania title opportunity is on the line, which would have Roman Reigns win the match, still having Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. But if the instance is that Rusev does have a match against Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania 31, the result for this would have to be for Seth Rollins to still cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase. Royal Rumble 2016. Now, this was the Royal Rumble where the winner didn't go on to WrestleMania. This was the one versus all Royal Rumble where Roman Reigns defended the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which the winner of that match was Triple H, but the runner-up was Dean Ambrose. Now, as much as I would love to see a scenario where Dean Ambrose walks in as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion going into WrestleMania 32, I do see a world though where at Roadblock, where we had that match with Triple H and Dean Ambrose, that we could see Dean Ambrose dropping the title to Triple H to still set up Triple H versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 32. And that's because of the fact that we're going into the WrestleMania where once again it was a complete cluster because half of the roster was pretty much injured and they were trying to scramble to find some good matches for this card. 2017, the winner of the match was Randy Orton, but the runner-up was Roman Reigns. Now, the first thing I will mention is that because Roman Reigns would end up winning the Royal Rumble, we wouldn't get Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33. And I feel the direction that they would go for is for Roman Reigns to go after the WWE Championship, and how they would do that is for John Cena to have actually retained the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber, thus setting up Roman Reigns versus John Cena for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 33, with Roman Reigns going over in the match as a passing of the torch moment that they actually ended up having at No Mercy later on in the year. Royal Rumble 2018, and this is where we begin talking about both the men's and the women's Royal Rumble matches.
Shinsuke should have won the fucking title. Vince McMahon fucking sucks. Shinsuke should have
So for the women's
Asuka should have won. She's so good.
match, the winner was Asuka, but the runner-up was Nikki Bella. This would end up having another match between Nikki Bella and Charlotte Flair, most likely for the SmackDown Women's Championship, but the bright side of Asuka not winning the Royal Rumble in this timeline, this would mean that Asuka's undefeated streak would continue, since it did end by the hands of Charlotte Flair in the real timeline at WrestleMania 34. And for the men's side of things, the winner was Shinsuke Nakamura, but the runner-up was Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns would have been doing the same thing. He inevitably challenged Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 34, but because he had won the Royal Rumble, he wouldn't have to compete in an Elimination Chamber to earn that opportunity. 2019, for the women's match, the winner was Becky Lynch and the runner-up was Charlotte Flair. I think for some reason we would have still ended up getting that triple threat main event match at WrestleMania 35. And with how popular Becky Lynch was at this time, we would have likely had some sort of yes movement like we had in 2014, or the We Want Cody movement from last year that would have forced WWE to put Becky Lynch into that main event spot. For the men's side of things, the winner was Seth Rollins, but the runner-up was Braun Strowman. The easy match to do.
He's a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't need a Royal Rumble win. I just have he doesn't need one. I feel that's just my feeling.
Here would be Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, especially playing off the fact of Braun Strowman losing to Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel, and this is where Braun Strowman would redeem himself by finally being able to defeat Brock Lesnar at the grandest stage of them all to win the Universal Championship. 2020, the winner of the women's match was Charlotte Flair, but the runner-up was Shayna Baszler. Now, it seemed like it didn't matter regardless because Shayna Baszler did end up going on to face Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36. And Charlotte Flair would have probably still ended up challenging for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36 because as of the recording of this video, ever since Charlotte Flair has made it onto the main roster, she's always competed in a championship match at WrestleMania, besides two due to medical reasons that forced her to not compete. And for the men's side of things, the winner of the match was Drew McIntyre and the runner-up was Roman Reigns. Now this one was always an interesting one to discuss about because theoretically theoretically, with Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble match in 2020, this would still set up for the match they were trying to do of Roman Reigns versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship. But with the pandemic happening, we would end up seeing Roman Reigns relinquish his opportunity due to him not wanting to compete during the pandemic because of his prior health conditions with leukemia, and with Roman Reigns becoming a father with another child, that it was huge risk of potentially passing on COVID to a newborn child, so he opted to stay home until it was more safe to come back to work. So we would have still likely have seen Braun Strowman versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 36. 2021. For the women's side, the winner was Bianca Belair, but the runner-up was Rhea Ripley. It seems like once again everything still stays the same because both women competed for their respective brands' women's championships, especially seeing now that with this new crop of women's talent that the two top competitors of this new women's division are both Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. So it seemed inevitable that one way or another both of them were getting title opportunities at WrestleMania. For the men's side of things, the winner was Edge, but the runner-up was Randy Orton, which right off the bat would mean that the match between Randy Orton and The Fiend would not happen because Randy Orton's now involved in a title match. And I think with the whole thing of Drew McIntyre losing his championship because of the Money in the Bank cash-in, and then Bobby Lashley winning it from The Miz afterwards, that perhaps maybe we see like a triple threat match because Randy Orton would end up choosing to fight for the WWE Championship. 2022. For the women's match, the winner was Ronda Rousey, but the runner-up was Charlotte Flair. Now, for those that might not remember, Charlotte Flair going into this match was the SmackDown Women's Champion and had stated that if she won the match, she herself would choose her own opponent for WrestleMania 38. And honestly, I think we still get the same women's title matches as we did because I feel Charlotte Flair would just end up choosing Ronda Rousey as her opponent anyways for WrestleMania 38, making it literally the biggest waste of potential of building up a new superstar to win the Royal Rumble and challenge for a title at WrestleMania. For the men's side of things, the winner of the match was Brock Lesnar, but the runner-up was Drew McIntyre. The biggest thing that I think would happen with Drew McIntyre winning here is that we wouldn't end up seeing the unification of both the WWE and Universal Championships at WrestleMania. And I think Brock Lesnar is a big enough superstar that he doesn't need a Royal Rumble win or back in 2019 a Money in the Bank briefcase in order for him to get a title opportunity at a WrestleMania. 2023. For the women's match, the winner was Rhea Ripley.
That I forgot about that shitty little fucking he fucking lost the belt at Mania. He lost the belt earlier in the Royal Rumble, actually. And then he came back to the Royal Rumble and he fucking wins just to get a rematch. That's so fucking stupid.
Ripley, but the runner-up was Liv Morgan. Now, Liv Morgan was a part of the SmackDown brand at this time, so she would end up challenging Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 39. But unlike the real timeline, I don't think that Charlotte Flair would end up losing this match, and it seemed like with Rhea Ripley's reinvention of herself in 2022 with the formation of the Judgment Day, it almost seemed like it was destined that she was going to end up walking out as a women's champion after WrestleMania, but in this case, we would have likely seen Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, with Rhea Ripley winning the Raw Women's Championship. For the men's side of things, the winner of the match was Cody Rhodes, but the runner-up of the match would be Gunther. There's two bad things to take away from this win. We would lose out on an amazing triple threat match between Sheamus, Gunther, and Drew.
That's fair. That triple threat match was fucking dope.
McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 39. And we know that for this match against Roman Reigns, he would not be winning the match because Roman was only a couple months away from surpassing 1,000 days as world champion, which is obviously another reason why Cody Rhodes didn't end up beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. And for the last Royal Rumble of this video is 2024. So the women's side of things, the winner was Bayley, but the runner-up was Liv Morgan. Now, a lot of people were hoping for the idea of a potential Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley match, considering
I hate this feud, and I'm so happy it's done, and I hate it. I hope it never comes back.
that it was Rhea Ripley who had put Liv Morgan on the shelf in the first place, and then she had returned during this Royal Rumble match. But there is a couple of problems with Bayley not winning this match in this timeline. First things first is that I don't think she would end up going up against Io Sky at WrestleMania 40, because with Liv Morgan challenging Rhea Ripley, this would mean that Becky Lynch doesn't have a match on the card of WrestleMania 40, and so likely the Elimination Chamber match that happened in the real timeline would be for a chance at the WWE Women's Championship against Io Sky. I feel that if Liv Morgan ended up getting the match at WrestleMania 40, we would never get the reinvention of her character that we ended up seeing throughout 2024. So it almost seemed like it was better off that we had Bayley win the Royal Rumble match than to have Liv Morgan here. And for the men's 2024 match, the winner was Cody Rhodes, but the runner-up was CM Punk. It would have been weird to see the fact that even though CM Punk won, he would be forced to relinquish his opportunity because of the tricep injury he sustained in the match. Likely meaning that there would have been the Elimination Chamber match where the winner would get CM Punk's opportunity at WrestleMania, and that match would have likely been won by Cody Rhodes, so we still get to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. And we still get to the whole, it's bloodline rules, look at you now, Mama Rhodes.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah. Kind of ended abruptly. I expected an outro or something. But this was interesting. Like, there is so much I would change if I was head booker of WWE. First off, Ludwig Kaiser would be the Intercontinental Champion. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Anyway, this is interesting. The original video, as well as Wrestling What Ifs channel, will be linked in the description. Go support them in any way you possibly can. Like, comment, subscribe to them, all the good stuff. And if you have anything you want me to react to, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. I read every single comment. That being said, bye-bye.